Hey everyone, Eggman here with another video, and today we're going to go over the top 4 decks for the Southeast Asia area finals for the One Piece card games. We're also going to talk about what that is, like what big tournament that is and stuff, but real quick before we do, I do want to shout out Noah for the deck list that we are going to be looking at today. They're a content creator out in Singapore, and they have a Twitter, they have a YouTube. I'm going to have those linked in the description below. Their YouTube's also very active as well, making content for the One Piece card game, so highly recommend checking that out. But going into this tournament, essentially Asia has its own like One Piece nationals this year, but only for Asia because the game's fully released out there. And I think North America, if it was released in our summer, maybe it'd be like a Worlds event, but it's not. So how it works, and you'll have to pretty much go to like every region and go for it. But they've been having before Taiwan, and let me make sure I get this right, in Southeast Asia, so Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, Philippines, and Thailand, they have their own championships right here. And then if you got to the top 2, you got an invite for the finals, which was this weekend. So it was, I believe, 24 people for this event. It went 5 rounds of Swiss into a top cut to the top 4 that we have today. And so these top 3 that we have top 4 decks, but these top 3 will be going to the Asia Championship, which will be in February of so next month, and it'll be 48 people in Japan and then 5 people from Asia. So the 3 people from Southeast Asia. There's also a Taiwan area final where there's 1, and also Hong Kong as 1. So also 53 is a really weird number for like the national like finals, but whatever. We're not going to talk about that. So which means that this is like the largest tournament going into essentially the World Finals for the first year of the One Piece card game. So that's how the tournament works. I have a link to this if you want it to. It's a little confusing, which is why I spent some time going over why this tournament is and why I've had like so many of these, like finals, like preliminary championship breakdowns, because they were huge tournaments to qualify for this tournament specifically in the Southeast Asia. So we're going to go over the top 4 list. It's going to be, of course, they did play out this tournament. They didn't have to in the top 2s because everyone got the invite. So top 3 will be getting to Japan for the finals there. And we're just going to go over the list. So we're going to start off with the first place Kaido list here. So this is Macon Locks, and I'm going to try my best to pronounce these names. I'm not the best, so my apologies there. But they use this version of Kaido here. And Kaido has just been consistently a deck in the meta, right? I think I always say like a lot of people are playing it, which is meaning that 1 or 2 people are always going to find their curve every time and do a really good job at doing that. I do like this version of the build a little bit more from what I've seen, though. I've seen previous builds where they just simply are pretty much still a set 1 deck with just a couple of like plus 2k counter adds from set 2. But this one with the Impel down package seems really, really strong and helps like for some consistency things for purple. So essentially, it's this new tag, this new archetype in the game. And the first like reason it's on my mind is because we have this card here, Hannibal. So it's a 1-drop 2k, and it's a Nami. It's a Nami for the archetype, which is fantastic. That's all really purple needed. It doesn't even have to be the Animal Kingdom archetype, just a searchable archetype. So turn 1, you can play this. If they have a Jewelry Bonnie, you can have Hannibal swing into it next turn, which is good for like matches like green, and then you're able to find some Impel down cards. So obviously, again, a new tag. So we have cards like Domino, which is just a 2-drop blocker, which is great as searchable. We also have Saudi as well, which is just a plus 2k counter, which is fantastic. We don't have any Jailer Beast type characters in our deck to play off that. We also do have the Shiru, just on play Dawn -1, KO up to one of your opponent's characters at the cost of 1 or less, which can be impactful too. Not not like the best effect, but if you need to play something on curve and you want to get rid of like a 1-drop blocker, this can be very good for that as well. And then that is mostly for the characters. And then we also do have the Hell's Judgment, which is an event card. Counter Dawn -1. Give it to 2 of your opponent's leaders or characters minus 3k power during this turn. And it has the trigger if your opponent has 6 or more Dawn, your opponent returns 1 of their Dawn cards to their Dawn deck. So interesting card there. Like obviously if you hit that early and you make them like unramp one, that could really mess them up for the next turn. The fact that this is a 2-drop counter that you're able to search off also Hannibal is good too. Like all this stuff is great. Like just having a package where purple has the same kind of consistency of like, at least some searching and like some good tags. Like red has obviously not as good as Straw Hats or Supernovas, but something I think to add for some consistency. I think is very, very strong. So that is, again, this is Maycon Lock's deck, and this is my preferred version of Kaido in set 2 with this package, and it looks very, very strong. So they were able to get first place for this event, and then going into second, we are seeing a Zoro run by Yong, and we've been seeing pretty identical versions of the Zoro, I'd say, for the entirety of the set 2 meta, at least in the coverage we've had in Asia. And it's just kind of all of these one-drop good cards we have. So we have Magra here, which up to one of your red characters cost of 1 gains plus 3k power during the turn, which is quite good. We also do have like the Curly Nadon, which look top 5, reveal 1 red character with cost of 1 or less add to your hand, then place the rest of your bottom of your deck in any order, which is also great because red has so many ding dang good 1-drops. We have Otama, we have Makino, we have Nami, we have Magra, we have Gordon, we have Sunny-kun even, which is searchable because it's a Straw Hat and everything that kind of goes with that. All of that is very good for the deck. And then we also have Vista, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with 3k power or less, which you could use with Gordon to, something that's 6k or less, right? Which is great. This Gordon being able to also boost Jess Pistol to pop something with 9k or less. All of this is very good for what it is. And then also Nico Robin, one of my favorite cards in red right now. I prefer more mid-range red decks where you get a lot of advantage with cards like Nico Robin and the destruction effects that you be capable of with the kind of the chaining of giving the power negs. So I think that is very, very good. So this is obviously more aggressive. I think Zoro is very good if you have a very low-to ground aggressive deck. And with having all of this kind of one-drop support, I think is one of the reasons to do that. So again, this is Yong's list here. And lastly, we have the Trafalgar Law lists, and they are nearly identical. The only difference is that, so this is the third place list. This is Wasin's Tayabavorns with the Trafalgar Law. And then we also have Nadon, Teethapong as well, and the only difference is the difference of the 5-drop Trafalgar Law from the star deck. If you're running 3 of those, you're running 2 of those with an Usus Captain kit. That is the only difference between these 2 lists, as long as I put them in right, which I'm pretty sure I did. So obviously, and they're both from Thailand. I don't know their history, but it makes me think that they're probably like on the team and they know what's up. So, but one of them is going to be representing this list, or at least representing themselves for this the Japan finals in February too. But we haven't been seeing a lot of Trafalgar Law in this format, and this is something that I think right now, even in set 1 format, people are recognizing and countering the deck just because like if you have a lot of ways to get a lot of like cheap and easy destruction, which is I think only going to happen more and more as this game goes on. This deck really doesn't function, right? You won't be able to play your leader effect. You're just playing a bunch of small cost cards. They're all getting removed, and then your hand is empty, like by turn 3 or 4, right? So that's something that I think is really tough for a deck like this, and but it's still been, I think, strong in set 1, and the fact that it's still being represented here in set 2 is interesting. It's looking a lot like the standard red-green list, but with adding the new 1-drop support that Zoro is also using as well. So the same cards we're talking about, like Curly the Dan, is in here too. It only finds the red 1-drops too, so you can't find Bonnie or Capone Gang Beige, which is a bit, it would have been great. It would have been great, right? But being able to still find Otama, Makino, Tony and Chopper, Nami, again, like having a searcher that finds a searcher that can like keep the train going is very, very strong. So I still like that. And then Vista as well, just whatever, you just KO opponent's character with 3k power less, you can bounce it back. It's a 3k, so you put 2 Dawn, swing with it, then bounce it back, play something else. Just having another, just having another card in the deck that is a searcher on play is great. It's what this deck needs to survive a lot of the time. It needs to be able to spend your Dawn to be able to find more cards so you can play them to help get that 5 character limit there. And I think adding that package there is very, very good. So I think that is something, I don't know. And Trafalgar Law has always been very tricky in a lot of ways. And so it's not too surprising that out the gate that it's something that was, like, maybe people just said, mono red aggro is a little bit better. And I'm having a hard time getting this to be consistent as it is. But with people tweaking it and like having their own play styles with it, I think it's obviously a very viable deck in set 2 still, which is really cool to see after not seeing it perform at least in the top 16s on my side for most of the set 2 format that we've seen. So really cool to see that it's still alive, and I know a lot of people are just honed in on Trafalgar Law in set 1 and probably continue on set 2. So there is hope. There is hope for those players there. So any last kind of things? Pretty standard. I don't know. The X-Drake is like the only card that normally I don't see in this deck, but I could see why. It's a 5-drop. It's green. It's a supernova. It has an on-play effect to KO something rested with cost of 4 or less, which is pretty good. And I could see this. I can see why this is in the deck as well. We don't see as much as this Trafalgar Law too, but since we don't have as many Zoros, we're only playing 2 of these, I could see this being, essentially giving something rest or rush by using Trafalgar Law to untap it so it can swing again. Is pretty much running more Zoros, but again, this is a green card. It also has a 1k counter, so I could see why this could be preferred in some situations, especially if you're really able to stack Dawn on a 1 character and really go off with them. It's really good. Which, if you're running 4 Brooks, that makes it easier. You have some interaction with that, and I don't know. Trafalgar Law has always been a tricky deck, but it's interesting to see it still doing well in set 2. So, anyways, that is the top 4 decks for you guys today. I'm really excited to have set 2 on our own shores, which will be coming up pretty shortly in about a month or so, and all of the new star decks and stuff too. So again, congratulations to all the players. Good luck in Japan, and thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I'll catch you all next time.